So, thank you everyone for tuning in today. I am your host, Jewel Diamond Taylor. And many of you have seen over the years my posts of sharing what I call interviews. Yes, an interview. And I have come across a young lady that I've known over the years, Eleanor Brownn, with two N's. Eleanor is an author, she's a poet. She loves to help others plan their lives. We have a lot in common. But I came across her adoption journey, which really stimulated my mind. And it was like, oh my God, I love stories of faith. I love stories of determination. Faith and hope are amazing mindsets that we all need to cultivate. Because I bet someone watching today needs a little nudge of hope and determination. And I'm telling you, if you stay tuned, you're going to hear an amazing story of hope and determination. Hope is a feeling of expectation and a desire for a certain thing to happen. And determination is the result of a decision that you make. It's a fixed intention to achieve a certain goal, a certain destiny. And this is what I'm so inspired by Eleanor's story, because she definitely is in the dictionary under the picture of hope and determination. I want you to hear her story. I want you to pull up a chair. I want you to be inspired. And if you know of anyone that has been adopted, if you know of anyone that is searching, if you know of anyone that has some issues with shame or guilt because they adopted their children and they're trying to process all of that. There's two sides to the story, but we are going to listen to someone today who had a wonderful breakthrough. I want to welcome you today, Eleanor Brownn with two N's.
Hey, Jewel, thank you so much for this opportunity to share my story. I really do think I know it will help somebody else, and that's really my motive for sharing so
Yeah,
publicly about what happened. So thank you.
exactly. Yeah, it's a story of faith, of fortitude, forgiveness. It has so many elements in it that really speak to why I do what I do. And I find a lot of people are very protective of their stories and their journeys. And I honor the fact that you are transparent and you're willing to share, because I know within my heart you're going to really help somebody today. Even if it's not a story of adoption, it's just a story of faith, of determination. So, can you tell us a little bit about the story? There's so many layers to adoption. I understand that there's at least seven core issues that happen when people experience adoption. Those core issues are loss and rejection, grief, identity crisis, a loss of sense of intimacy, a loss of control because they had no say in being adopted. Could you speak to any of those core issues that jump out to you?
I could check all of those off the list. And I'm going to start with identity crises,
Mm,
names you use, because for me, I I want to say the first thing, but I can't say the first because, there's so many pieces and layers and
mhm.
twists and turns in my story. But identity crisis, because in the confusion that came with that when I
Yes.
found out that I was adopted.
Mm,
Now, I was raised in a very loving home
mm.
I was so blessed, that I ended up where I did.
Yeah,
Uh,
very fortunate.
and mama and daddy will always be mama and daddy. And I like to say that because I know sometimes for adoptive parents, they're a little concerned if somebody
Sure.
wants to search, or people say, why do you weren't happy? That wasn't my story. I had a very happy childhood, but when I was
You
around,
said, how old were you when you found you were adopted?
it's complicated. I'm going to say 12 years old.
Mm.
But at that time, I was told that I was the granddaughter. So
Oh.
I still thought it was my family. So I was 12, when I was around 12 years old, somebody at school was saying, "Oh, you were adopted." I guess somehow they knew,
Mm.
because they had, I lived in the same neighborhood for the first 28 years of my life. I lived
Oh.
at 82nd and Central in South Los Angeles. That was where I
Oh.
was, born and raised and grew up. And when I was around 12, somebody kind of was teasing me about it. And also, I was at an age to recognize that my mother, it was unlikely that she could be my biological mother because
Mm.
she was 50 years older than I
Oh, okay,
was.
okay. Did you have any siblings at the
I
time in
didn't have
your
any
household?
siblings. I was raised as an only child. So it was just me and my parents.
Mhm,
And then my father died a couple of years later. Daddy, the person I saw was my
mm,
father.
mhm.
My mother died 14 years later when I was 28, and it was when I was 28
Oh,
that I found out that I was not related to when she passed away, that I was adopted, that I was not a grandchild, that I had been adopted.
mm. And so did you have mixed emotions of
Oh,
anger
wow.
and oh,
Anger, betrayal,
oh,
confusion, curiosity.
yes,
It was just the mix because my mother had just and even though I was thinking grandmother, she was my mother, I mean, in
of
blood.
course.
My father had been dead 14 years at that point.
Okay, wait, hold on one
I,
second. Did
yeah,
I miss something? Did you say she was biologically your grandmother?
I thought she was.
Oh, you thought she was.
I thought she
Okay,
was because that's what
okay,
they told me when I was 12.
okay.
And
So up until 12, you thought you saw her as mommy,
yes.
and then they said, "Well, no, really, you're our grandchild."
Mhm.
Okay, and so you accepted that? It wasn't a big shock to you? It wasn't a jolt
It
to your
wasn't
identity?
I'm trying to remember, but it wasn't a complete shock. It sort of answered the question, why were they so much older than I
Oh,
was?
okay, I
You
got you.
know,
I got you.
and I didn't think beyond that, like, I'm adopted it was just, okay, they're my grandparents. That's
And
that.
that's a very common thing in our culture, right?
Mhm,
To be
mhm.
raised by grandparents or aunties or uncles. So it wasn't a really big leap to accept that because it's kind of normal that we see that.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. And so with their passing, the door was closed to answer any questions.
yeah.
So
And
your search began.
my search began, and my father had been an only child, so I didn't have any aunts
Mm,
and uncles.
mm,
When I say my father, I'm
yes.
talking about the person, daddy. My mother, she did have family, but she was cut off from her or she wasn't connected closely.
Mm,
There was the occasional cousin here and there, but she had 5 or 6 siblings back in Louisiana where she was from, but she wasn't close. So when my parents died, or the people, that's when I found out I was adopted, and I really didn't have a family, and I didn't have anybody who I could ask or who could provide
mm, yeah.
information. So that's when really my search began. Like, where did I come from? How did I end up?
Well, in reading my notes, I see it was a 44-year search.
Yeah.
I 44 years you were
Yeah.
diligently searching?
I was searching, and there were times when I thought I had found people, and that was one of the reasons why it really took a long time, because it was a
Yeah,
long time before I did the DNA testing. I was searching public records,
I got you.
so the standard,
Right.
phone books and school yearbooks and social security, all that kind of stuff. And I had a number of instances where I thought I had found relatives only to find out that the dots didn't align. There for some reason and it would be crushing. I mean, each time that would happen, it was just an emotional roller coaster, think, oh, I found somebody or this,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it wouldn't.
I'm curious. I do a lot of trauma-informed
Mm,
therapist and counselor, and I'm just
mhm,
wondering, in hindsight, when you look back, how do you
yeah.
see this became so disruptive to your life? Was it consuming the search, or did you start your own family? Were you working? Were you going to school? Were you traveling? Or was this an all-consuming project and pursuit for you?
It was not an all-consuming
Oh,
project.
okay,
It
okay.
would come, and there were times it was all-consuming. I spent 3 months up in Fresno going through public records, physically, because that's where I
Mhm,
was told my mother was from. So no,
mhm,
it wasn't on my mind all the time, but it was always part of who I was.
mhm.
And I was always thinking, or I'd be in a store somewhere and I'd see somebody and I'd think,
Oh.
Could
You know
that
what you're making me think of, Eleanor? One of my favorite stories, and the fact that I just revisited the entire series, is This Is Us. Have you
mm,
watched This Is
I
Us?
have not seen that show.
Oh my gosh, I'm giving you a gift right now. Please,
Oh,
please go to Netflix and watch This Is Us. And I
okay.
have got to talk to you after you watch it because this is going to
Mm,
be a revelation. It's going to be very insightful and emotional. I love the way the writers put us right in the middle of understanding the story, the pain, the questions, the curiosity, the emotional roller coaster, the
mm.
healing, the forgiveness, the secrets. They addressed it from so many different directions. So that is my gift to you today, my
Okay, I wanna
sister.
check it out.
Please
This is
watch
us.
This Is Us. Oh
This
my
is
gosh.
us.
Um,
Yeah,
when you think about perseverance and resilience, would you identify yourself as a person who is resilient and
definitely,
persevering?
definitely, and I define resilience as coming back from a setback stronger.
That's right. That's right.
Not just surviving, but coming back
Coming
stronger.
back.
And, I can tell you so many times in my life, and I'm sure we've all had times in our lives where something has happened where you thought it was the end of the world,
Yeah.
you weren't gonna survive it.
Yeah.
And then you look back later and you realize that that happened in a way that it really made you a stronger person, that it changed your life in a way that it wouldn't have changed otherwise. And so that's what resilience is, not just surviving, but coming back stronger.
Right. Did you have any issues with feeling rejected?
Yeah, well, first of all, when my mother first died, because then I, I like being transparent. I won't be
Yeah.
completely transparent with this, but the way I was told was not the way somebody should be told that they're not a member of the family.
Mhm,
It
mm,
was just
mm, mm,
it was it was not kind, and it was all
mm.
about greed, and it was all about all the things that go
Okay.
around that. Um, and I don't even know why I went down that road, but that was a dark, dark time,
I
and really
got
for those
you.
first 5 years, because I was grieving. My mother had
Oh,
died. My father died many years before. I was alone.
mm,
I didn't have family. The family that I thought I might have was not, family.
mm.
That was a very dark period in my life, those 5 years after my mother
You
passed away.
know, people like you, Eleanor, and myself who love to help other people, help them plan, help them with our inspirational stories and our pearls of wisdom. I've enjoyed your quotes over the years online. I think that comes from a deep place of us missing some type of connection. I think it comes from a place of empathy and compassion because we know what it's like to feel hurt, to feel left out, to
Mhm.
have unexpressed grief. Um, and so we're kind of predisposed. It's almost like a calling, like I want to help others because I know what it's like. And so
Exactly.
to have this sense of questioning your identity, wondering why I've been rejected, why I've been betrayed, why I'm living with secrets. I know that somebody's listening right now today that can relate to that.
Mhm.
So, in your search, 44 years, what kept you going? What made you say, I'm unstoppable, I'm unwavering, I've got to connect the dots. I've got to find people that look like me.
You know what kept me going, what keeps me going to this day, because I found my father's side. I've not found my mother.
Oh, you found your father's side.
Right,
Okay.
but, is I came from somewhere. So every time I say that, somebody had to have me
Somebody,
somewhere.
yes, yes.
And really that's what keeps me going. I mean, at this point, I know I may not find, the person alive because I'm 73. So
Oh, we're the same age. Isn't that
oh,
something?
really? Yeah, we look
Yeah,
good.
when you said 44, I said, "Well, that's more than half of my life." Yeah,
Yeah, I was I
that's
was 29 when my mother, or just before I turned 29. Um, when my
what
mother
would you tell
passed.
someone, that is looking and searching and
So
feeling discouraged and feeling alone and feeling like I don't feel like I belong anywhere? What would you tell them?
I would tell them, don't give up before the miracle. I always say that, that blessing with your name on it may be a whole lot closer than you think it is. Don't
Uh,
give up before the miracle.
yes.
And the other thing is, and it just went out of my head. What was I going to say? About not giving up.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a big statement, and it carries a lot of weight. And I
oh,
think about
I
okay.
know. The other thing
Okay.
is God's time. Things
Okay.
happen when they need to happen or when they're supposed to happen. And sometimes I truly believe we don't see things clearly because we're not ready to see them.
I like
You
that.
know, that we're being protected by our vision is blurry
Mhm,
because
mhm.
we cannot handle it yet. And
Right.
so if it hasn't happened yet, if you feel like you've been searching, if you're wondering how long, God's time. Just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess you would count yourself blessed to live in a time of social media and technology where you go online. Was that really the
That
tool that you
that
used?
that was wild because first of all, the reason I even started writing on Facebook was because I was going through another up and down,
Okay.
the things I write, I tell people they're really notes to myself.
I can relate.
And I was like, what do I need to hear today?
Exactly, exactly.
And that's what I write. And so, there were these ups and downs and ins and outs and the writing. So I started sharing on social media. I just needed an outlet, for
Mm.
all the feelings and
It's like journaling online.
it's like journaling online, and it
Exactly.
was scary, actually. I also have a blog that I don't put out a lot, but it's actually there, and it's
Mhm.
written in real time, over the last 10 years of my search and what's been going on with me and just everything. But I posted on Facebook. I decided I got this following on Facebook. It was like, I don't even know how that happened, but I was just writing from the heart.
Yeah.
And I decided, with all these people follow me, why don't I post that I'm looking for my birth? Maybe they can help me.
Mhm.
So 10 years ago in 2014, I posted my adoption story and that
Mm.
I was looking, and I got over 900,000
900,000.
responses,
So
either
you tapped into
likes,
something. You tapped into something.
and people were giving me all sorts of ideas. And one of the ideas I got from that was somebody said, do DNA testing. That's how you're going to find,
Okay.
because they had done DNA testing. A number
Okay.
of people had done DNA testing.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I've been posting about it. And so now that I've had this reunion, I posted about that because I feel like so many people kind of knew pieces of my story and I wanted to share the hope. It's like, look,
That
I
must have been crazy. 900,000. Did you
900.
respond to everybody?
I responded to as many people as I could, and I certainly, if they gave me some kind of suggestion but it was overwhelming. I wasn't, I wasn't quite ready for that, but
And so I think where I came into the story was when you posted the picture and you said, "Here's my update." So share with my audience what was your update that you posted?
my update was that on June 4th of 2024, which was about 2 weeks ago now, I met a blood relative for the first time.
For the first time.
She's
Ooh.
85.
Ah,
She's 85.
wow.
And I also met her brother, who's also my first cousin. They're both first cousins. He's 90, he's turning 90, and met a blood relative at
Mm,
age 73.
mm.
And we look, I mean, there's this very strong resemblance. And, look into the eyes of somebody who looks like you. It's hard to describe to people who've never not had that.
I
But if
know.
you've never not had that, it's a very
It's
surreal.
grounding. It's very grounding. It's very
Yeah.
centering. It's like, okay. It's like looking in the mirror because I recently lost a loved one,
Mm,
a cousin, and she looks just like my mother.
mm,
And my
mm,
mother died a long time ago, but every time I would see this particular cousin who was named after my mother, it was
mm.
first very unnerving because it's like, you look like my mama, and it was scary, but then it was very comforting to realize that our DNA is that strong. So I can imagine the joy you must have felt to say, there I am.
there I am, and
There
I'm
I
really
am.
blessed because I've talked to many adoptees who've reunited, and it's not always a happy
It's not
story.
always a happy, yeah.
Some
So
people don't wanna be found, okay?
that's the
That's
truth. So were they able to reveal much to help you connect the dots?
so
They answered any questions?
they have been so open, so welcoming,
Oh,
so
oh,
wonderful. So I mean, I couldn't have asked for more generosity of spirit than I've experienced with them. I mean, the whole and not just them, the
yeah.
cousins I met them because they're in Florida. They live in the same, city
Oh,
in Florida, but, they're scattered, family members are scattered. I have a half brother who
a half brother?
I have a half
Oh,
brother
Eleanor, I'm so
who
happy for
I have
you.
spent hours on the phone with in the last couple weeks,
Oh,
talking to. And guess what, Jewel? He lives about 30 miles from where I am.
look at God. 30
Okay.
mi wow, and do you all resemble each other?
We haven't met yet.
Oh, you haven't met yet?
Mm-mm.
Have you had a picture
I haven't
together?
seen a picture of him yet.
Oh,
We've
okay.
talked on the phone.
I would imagine it has to be,
I've been afraid to ask, quite,
yeah,
you know.
I understand. I was gonna say, I bet you have to really gently step into this process.
Mhm.
I would imagine it's like,
Imagine
ugh,
being 70, he's 75, he's older than I am.
ah,
Uh, or 78, he's 78, and, finding out you've got a half sister, you know, um,
mm, mm.
so but he's been wonderful, and he was very close to my father, so he's been able to tell me stories about my
Oh,
biological father. Um,
but nothing yet on your mother's side.
Mother, no, we have different mothers, we don't have the same mother.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So I'm still trying, and they're trying to help me discover who this person could be that is
Mhm,
mother.
mhm, mhm.
Um,
If you
what
were,
do you think?
if I may just tread lightly, if you
Yeah.
were to meet your mother,
Mm.
let's say I'm your mother,
Ooh,
what would you wanna say to me?
first of all, I wanna say thank you. Thank you, because whatever you decided to do, I landed in a very
Wow.
beautiful place with 2 loving parents who spoiled me and loved me, and so thank you so much, because I know you had a number of different choices you could have made, and you chose to have me, and I know it wasn't easy to give up a child, so thank you for that.
Mm. And I would say, I'm proud of you,
Mm,
and I would say, I want you to know that it was my best act of love that
mm,
I could do under the circumstances. And
yeah,
the gift of your forgiveness gives me peace to rest.
mm,
That it was definitely an act of love. And I would
mm,
pray that you would continue to tell your story because there are many women like me
mm,
that had to make hard choices. And to know that the Lord put you in a safe and loving environment allows me to rest in eternal
mm.
peace
Wow. Ooh,
because
wow.
it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but I'm proud of you. And I want you to know that life is eternal. And I see you.
Mm,
I see you. And I honor your walk. And I hold you dear in my heart and in my soul.
mm.
Yeah.
That's very good. Thank you, Jewel. That is very, wow.
I did that. That was kind of spontaneous. And then again, it wasn't because I've been doing this work for almost 40 years. And I remember the first time I did that. It was on Crenshaw Boulevard about 30 years ago. And I was meeting with women, about 60 to 70 women every Thursday night. And I remember there was a woman who was so wounded and so angry. And I
Mm,
sat across from her and I hugged her and I said, talk to me like I'm your mother. And it was such amazing
mm,
breakthrough. And this is the second time I've done it.
mm,
To do it with you. I just
mm,
wanted to be obedient to the spirit that just said, just sit in that chair and allow her to say what she needs to say. Because I believe, Eleanor, that so many of us suffer with depression because we lack expression. For you
Mm,
to express to your mom what you feel and to thank
mm,
her, I
mm,
believe is the antidote to depression and a sense of loss of identity, a sense of grief, a sense of rejection. You've got to express it. And you said it beautifully. You said it with love. And I'm praying somebody is watching this and saying, I need to have faith. I need to have fortitude. I need to have forgiveness. I need to focus on the scriptures that says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in the Lord. And may you overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit.
mm,
I want to be able to give hope to people. And I discovered your story online. You discovered family members online. You've been to some of my events in the past, and we have reconnected. And I truly hope that we'll be in each other's presence again. I would love to hug you. I would love to thank you in person and
You've
just give
given me
all
such a
praises to
gift.
God. You know,
You've given me such a gift with what you did, just,
Good.
and that really, that thing you did with my mother, oh,
That was spontaneous. I didn't even know I was going to do that.
that was power. That was, I mean, like, it's like something went through my body with that. So
Amen.
thank you.
Amen. Amen. I'm a mother. I've lost my son, and I
Mm,
didn't have a. I had a mother, but she was very um, closed, very stoic. So I don't have a lot of warm memories. And so I'm a nurturer. I love being a mother. I love nurturing. And I think it comes out of that void that I had, that I didn't get that from my grandmother or my mother. My grandmother died right beside me in the bed on a morning getting ready to go to school. And then
wow.
my mother passed of breast cancer. And I have very few, warm memories because whatever their wounds were, whatever they went through, they were traumatized.
Mhm,
They were
mhm,
shut down. And so this is my expression. This is my purpose, is to be a nurturer and to create safe places for women to explore and to be brave and have these conversations, to be brave and share without shame and without guilt, because somebody's going to be blessed by it.
mhm,
Amen. Yeah.
mhm.
Wow.
Speaking as that, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank
Mm,
you.
mm, mm. The healing is a
Oh,
process. It's a process.
mm,
So
woo,
I know. But God, just but
okay.
God, but God. So,
Mm,
my dear audience that is watching today, I pray that you will hit that share button. Hit that share button. Share it with someone that you know that has lost hope, someone that lost the spirit of determination and resiliency. They're searching, they're searching, they're searching. They're looking for that missing piece. I am Dr. Jewel Diamond Taylor, and this is my series called Inner Views. I thank my guest, Eleanor Brownn, with two N's. I want everybody to visit her website. Please share with us your website or any information about your book. I think your book is called, what is it called? The Other Serenity Prayer.
other serenity prayer.
Yeah. Could you share with the information about that?
Yeah, it's really just a collection of things that I've written on Facebook over the years.
Mhm.
They're short phrases, poems, meditative thoughts.
Yeah.
It's kind of a one day at a time sort of a book. You can just pick up a page and open it and see what you need for that day.
Got you. Yeah. I like the simplicity. That's kind of how I present my materials too. I used to write big books. Now, just like something simple, like little nuggets they can just bite on at lunchtime or in the morning before they go to bed. And I honor you as a sister author. I honor you as a woman who is compassionate, empathetic, resilient, beautiful, youthful, and inspiring. I look forward to being in your presence again soon, Eleanor Brown with two N's.
Thank you, Jewel Diamond Taylor. Thank you.
Everybody, stay in the light.
Mm.